everyone, my name is Lucy. I work for Wild and I'm here with Ross, who is the founder and CEO of Wild. Now, we have been asking you guys to let us know some dog food brands that you've either used before or you're interested in knowing a bit more about. And Ross is going to do some research with us now, having a look into it and sharing his opinions on the food. We've got the top three that we're going to do first. Today's episode is just on Wolfworthy. So, Ross, what have you found?
Yeah, so we had a lot of our customers saying that they use Wolfworthy. Um,
It is a really popular brand. I see it all the time.
yeah, it's a really popular brand. So I think Wolfworthy, they sell themselves as an 80-20 food. So it's a bit like Wild that we create. It's 80% meat, 20% fruits and vegetables. It's a kibble. So that means it's been extruded and it's supposed to be a dry kibble alternative to raw feeding. So it looks like a really, really nice brand. I'll go and find their
I quite like
ingredients.
that on their packaging they've put the 80-20, but then they've also put zero grain, so it's really clear that there are no
Yeah,
grain.
yeah, that's a good point. And in fact, that's in general, I think it's a really straightforward brand and it is really clear.
Yeah.
Uh, there's one thing that I think people should take note. So maybe you've seen our other video on the difference between
Oh,
fresh meat and freshly prepared meat. But one thing I really commend is that they're very clear that they use freshly prepared meat. Now, freshly prepared meat means it's essentially meat meal that's been hydrated. So it's about 60% moisture. So you can see they've got freshly prepared chicken, freshly prepared salmon, freshly prepared beef, turkey. I mean, they've got a lot of good different sources of animal protein, which is great. You can see here the composition. So yeah, let's take a look. So yeah, first on the ingredient list is freshly prepared chicken. That's 18%. They've got sweet potato, dehydrated chicken.
quick question then. They've got freshly prepared chicken as 18%, but then further down the ingredients list, they've got dehydrated chicken at 15%.
Big cut.
Rated those.
Yeah, so it's because you have to separate them. So they've done a really good job and they've been very clear that they are different ingredients, but they've separated them because ultimately they are just completely different ingredients. So what some companies will do is they'll put the two of them together and they would just say chicken 33%, and then in brackets
Yeah.
they would say of which 18% freshly prepared, 15% dehydrated. Whereas I really like that they've separated that. So you know these are very clearly two different ingredients that were mixed together at the mixing stage. So that's why they've done that, and fair play to them for doing that because most brands don't do that. They try and slightly hide the combination of what's been used. But yeah, my only I think it's a really good food. I think it's got really, really good clean ingredients. So I'm not surprised lots and lots of people are already using this. My only uh, thing that I would want to raise to people's attention is when they sell it as an 80-20 food, you, the customer, would probably be expecting to buy a kibble that's got 80% meat and 20% vegetables. But we can do the maths right now. So there's 18% freshly prepared chicken. There's 12% freshly prepared salmon. There's 5% freshly prepared beef liver, 4% trout, 2.5% freshly prepared beef hearts, kidneys. Yeah, so you're looking at food that has got, uh, I'm not able to do this maths in my head, I'm afraid, but so over 45% of the ingredients that are animal based are in that freshly prepared category, which if you take out the moisture, which is what happens in the kibble, that 45% turns into something closer to 18%. So
Okay.
yeah, yes. So my conclusion of Wolfworthy, really good brand, much, much, much better than most of the other foods out there. Really clearly labeled, which I like. The only issue is if you think you're buying an 80-20 food, as in the dry food that you've got in your hands and are given to your dog is 80% meat and 20% vegetables or fruit and plant-based stuff, that's not actually the case. Because of the freshly prepared ingredients, you're probably looking at something that's closer to about 55% to 45%. 55% animal products on a dehydrated basis and 45% plant-based products, which is still a lot more meat than most foods you find out there. But yeah, that's basically the only thing I think customers should be aware of. Otherwise, really nice food. It's got a decent protein content. In fact, that's actually something else to point out. if a food is truly 80-20%, 80% meat, 20% fruit and veg, it will have higher protein content than 36%. It'll have at least 45% and usually 50% or more.
Is
Having
that
said that, that's
after the freshly prepared moisture side of it's taken out?
exactly. So if it was a dehydrated 80-20, then you would be seeing protein content of 45%, 50%, because that protein content is at the dry at or dehydrated basis. But yeah, really good food. If you're happy with this, stick with it. You can do a lot worse. If you are looking for a food that is 80% meat, 20% fruit, veggie, and superfood on a dehydrated basis, we have made one. It's called Wild. Yeah, make your own mind up, but that's yeah, it's a nice food.
Absolutely. It looks pretty good for what's out there in the market at the minute. As we say though, you don't have to go and buy Wilds just because we really are 80-20, very clear with the ingredients. But it's just something to bear in mind that you need to be thinking about that moisture percentage before you think this is 80-20. Just have a think for
Yeah,
yourselves, go away, do some research, and then make your minds up what works for you and your dog.
perfect. And they are much better. Most of the other brands you see out there have only got 20 or 25% meat, and that's the freshly prepared stuff. So you're actually buying something that's 80 it's almost an 80-20 food, but of veggies to meat. So no, good food, like it, but wouldn't say it's a true 80-20 recipe.
So what would you rate it out of 10?
Mm,
Just putting you on the spot.
I would give it a solid 7, 7.5 out of 10.
That's pretty good. Yeah, like that. Thank you very much, Ross.